Radio Zero.
It's Radio Zero with Rick and Rose, and the states of Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan can go fuck themselves.
We're live streaming on Facebook on the Radio Zero page and Poster Children page, on Twitch at PCJC USA, and on the Poster Children YouTube channel. Typically live stream Friday afternoons, 5 p.m. Central, every other Friday afternoon. You can subscribe to the podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Go to radiozero.us. You can patronize us at patreon.com/radiozero. Thanks to everyone who has patronized us. If you decide to patronize us in the future, I think starting today, I would recommend not signing up through the Patreon app from the Apple store. They're going to start charging a 30%.
Oh boy!
Top thing on top. So if you are going to be patronizing any sort of creative podcaster, go to the Patreon site itself and sign up there, so you don't wind up going through the Apple store.
All right. Do we have anything to talk about?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. I haven't. I've got to say, I shut off the radio. Well, we talked last week about when I went to bed 4 years ago.
8. It was 8 years ago. The Hillary Clinton election.
8 years ago. Yeah, we talked about that. 4 years ago, I don't remember because I was waiting to find out whether or not I had cancer. Seriously. And then I found out I did. So we got Biden and I got cancer.
Wow.
So I'm happy. I'm happier this 4 years. I'm happier now than I was 4 years ago. I can tell you that.
Yeah, because we're going to have a president that doesn't give you cancer.
That's the thing, is that I was thinking about that. We're not going to have any more natural disasters or anything, at least, because he's going to make America great again. I don't even know where to start. I don't even know. I was driving home today and I was like, okay, I'm going to turn it. I turned off the radio.
Why don't we start at the end?
Okay, or let's start at the end.
Just a big smoking crater.
That's not going to happen.
That's right.
I was driving home and I heard, I started hearing, and this, I was happy to not have to hear. The first thing that went through my mind after this happened was 50% of the people who I see around here, maybe not around here, but 50% of the people are really happy now. So that's good.
Actually, as when I was driving through town today, at the corner of the university and McDonald's, there was a guy standing out there wearing some kind of weird red, white, and blue outfit, with his hat backwards, and then he was waving a gigantic flag that said Trump 2024, and then he had a sign that said MAGA's back, honk. Honk if you're a fascist.
And
so some people were honking.
That's nice.
Yeah, I just stewed. I didn't give him the finger or anything. I did very good. I just went on my way.
Yeah. I mean, I do feel like a sporting aspect of this, I'm mad that I lost, I don't want, that's what I'm trying to feel in my body is do I feel like I've lost a game? Because to me, that's such a shallow fucking loss. If it's, I lost the game. Because people are going to die because of this. Science is going to go away because of this. I mean, when I say, and I post that on Facebook, I'm not going to post anything else, but I was like, well, at least the next 4 years will be entertaining. I realized today that it's kind of like I got socked in the face, and I'm starting to wake up from it now, it's the numbness is wearing off. So I was listening on the radio, and I was listening to somebody talk about why they sent a message to Kamala Harris, because she just, she's not going to end the war in Gaza, and there's too many wars going on, and the people of America need their stuff. So, Trump's going to end the war, and then we're going to get more stuff. We're not going to be hurting as much, and that was her message to Kamala. And she goes, even though, I'm a woman and I would have liked to have seen a woman win, and I'm like thinking to myself, but I voted for a rapist instead. Even though I can't remember what else she said, even like to all these different reasons, she's like, the economy is bad, and I just, she didn't give us enough information about the economy. And like, the woman who said, like the journalist, whoever the newscaster was, had said, at the beginning that Trump gave no indication of how he's going to solve the economic problems. There's nothing at all except for the tariffs, I guess.
Tariffs, and then he said he was going to get rid of taxes on Social Security. What else did he say? He was going to cut taxes again. So I think he did say some stuff. Whether or not that's whether it's valid or will actually,
I guess he said some stuff
help the economy. But yeah, I mean, I went through the whole thing. Was like, okay, we can't elect a woman, especially a woman of color, right, and all that kind of stuff. But then I went back to, it's the economy, stupid. It's just always the economy. And again, even saying economy would indicate that people are voting based on this calculation.
Economy,
But really it's just like, oh, things are more expensive now. Things were cost less 4 years ago. I'm going to vote for this guy.
Yeah. Okay, Joe Christmas says he's still numb. April Smith says 100% of trans people are in a panic. Tim Bauer says nothing matters anymore, and rid of the Department of Education, gut the EPA, kill many welfare programs, etc. And we got nothing on the Radio Zero side. That's fine. I'm just going to keep going back and forth. Like I'm taking comments. What you said you heard like a couple of days ago, you had turned on the radio, right? Like after the bomb hit, and what did you say? I can't remember. You said it was like you heard people talking about, whoa, bread is expensive. Oh, women. You said women.
Well, yeah, women, and so the idea that...
blamed it on women.
Well, no, I didn't. It was just, kind of analyzing why, why women may not have voted for Kamala Harris or voted for Trump. And it was kind of like, oh, the reproductive rights thing, that's important, but also you can deal with it on the state level, right? I think was their thought. And then it's like, women are still in the majority in terms of buying food, right? Shopping, right? And in terms of family budget.
Not in this house, but anyway.
Yeah, but it's not 100%.
Yeah, I go shopping.
You go shopping, and I go shopping, and so we're aware.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm aware of.
Yeah, I didn't mean to derail it.
More expensive things are.
Yeah, but so women, and so that's why. I mean,
it's like the economy thing. So it is just, and then it's like anytime you start talking about it, is, oh well, they don't want to vote. Why don't they see this? Why don't they know that the reason why the inflation happened is this is an after effect of the whole shutdown and the supply chain issues and all that kind of stuff, and we actually got through that.
On a soft landing, you'd said.
Did a soft landing, which is almost impossible, right?
Yeah.
And the Fed and these although the jobs report wasn't so good, right, for November. But that's all like super. That's already too in depth, and calculation requires sort of thinking in terms of kind of like long-term cause and effect, and that's not
how people think.
The way most people are.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They're in the moment. It's what's happening now, and it's not because it's a reflection of their intelligence or their background. I mean, it's a reflection of just how it's really
the price
difficult.
Of bread.
It's just you're kind of. I mean, I think most people are living in the moment, right? They're not, and not we don't have a society of planners and savers, and it is really everything in the current moment.
And the other thing is like all the all the hysteria, like the world's going to end if Trump is going to be the next president. Doesn't work because he's already been the president for 4 years and the world didn't end. However many hundreds of thousands of people died, but he didn't cause the pandemic. And we got through it. Like the people who are still alive now who like could vote, they got through it once. So that's what I heard that kind of resonated with me, is just like, this is going to, he's a fascist, and people don't know what that means. He's, that's
the other thing.
It was like for a week, like, is he a fascist? What do you think? Oh, Kamala Harris said he's a fascist. And so did all of the people who worked with him and all of the generals and stuff, fascist. And then people don't even know what that fucking means. People don't know what it means.
Yeah, World War II was 70, 80 years ago.
People don't care.
70 years ago, right? 80. Is it right? I'm right. 80. Right? And that era, right? And it's like, yeah, your history, and we have listened to people talk about historical precedents, but that's not most people.
People are not smart and
Yeah.
it's not that they're not smart enough. They're not propensity enough. I've been talking about low propensity voters. So April Smith is saying, at least there's bread in the stores as opposed to no bread during the pandemic, or toilet paper or cleaning supplies. I mean, like I said, I'm using the word entertaining in a very grave sense. Okay, like entertaining, like when you
Michael
like to
Jackson eating popcorn.
Yeah, because he's dead, so it is a grave sense. Get it? Somebody, I saw somebody had posted something like, I'm gonna go rage buy all the toilet paper out of the Walmart now, which I thought was really funny. So April says they have a plan this time around, Project 2025.
That's true.
Oh, but that's not going to happen, April, because Trump never read it and he doesn't believe anything that's in it.
Yeah, and so
that's what he says, right?
This is what happened with George W. Bush. What was it? I can't even remember what it was called, but that whole plan, where it was mapping out all about and stuff
the
like
New
Iraq.
World Order or something.
No, that was the other Bush.
Okay.
George W. I'm trying to remember what was it called? I'm sure we can go back 25 years to one of
our radio years. We should do that.
Where I talked about it, and they had the whole website and like Paul Wolfowitz, those guys. They had a whole plan.
What happened?
The Iraq War. I mean, really, that plan was kind of mapping out everything, and then once 9/11 happened, then they just kind of put into place this whole plan. It was kind of the New World Order stuff. It was the New World Order guys who didn't get to do what they wanted with the first Bush, and then it was like they had this whole plan for Americans, America overseas, and just its position in the world and everything, and then they took that down. Like it was a whole big published thing, and then they took it down. After, I think it was after 9/11 and after the war started. But it was a document that was authored. So the thing is these conservative think tank plans, right? They do, get used because it's a plan. It's already written
laughing.
out.
You could probably look to see what the Poster Children record names and song names are like back in history, so you can find out like what was going on at the time.
Yeah.
New World Order was earlier.
That was New World Record, but yeah.
Yeah, New World Record.
Yeah, so the leader, that was like, that song was 2003, 2004, so yeah. And that's the thing, is this felt, for somebody else, one of the pundits or whatever news people said something about it feeling like 2004, which is weird, because I felt the same way. I had a 2004 dread feeling, right, at the beginning of the week, where it was like, oh, this is the same thing, where it was like, oh, John Kerry's going to win. Oh, yeah, it was, what's his name? The CBS guy and he made a joke about President John Kerry, and it was like, oh, yeah, I remember that. It was like, oh, yeah, John Kerry's going to win. It's going to beat W. And then it was like, nope, it's total blowout. didn't happen, and it felt the same way here, where it was like there was hope, right, and this idea that it's going to happen. Iowa might even flip. It's total BS.
Here, let me see here. April says they have a plan this time around, Project 2025. Tim Bauer says Trump 2.0 will no longer have advisors, cabinet members, and generals that put up guardrails or slow-rolled his whims. He will have absolute crazy loyalists carrying out his policies.
And so this was, somebody had said, it's like, oh, well, I guess we don't have to worry about the deep state, because Trump, the deep state doesn't exist. And then I said, we have to worry about the bro state. And so that's one of my things.
That's the next poster children.
The bro state. So you got Elon, you got RFK Jr., got Don Jr., who else? Oh, and then who I just heard their name and then got angry again. Now I forgot his name.
Mitt Romney?
No. It's like, oh my gosh.
Sweet
love the old days when the closest to Peter Thiel.
Oh yeah.
Peter Thiel, man.
Oh boy, we've got a lot of emojis coming up here. Joshua Vaughn says, Grand Bargain.
Exactly.
We should have President Trump come down here and talk to us. I'll text him and see if we can get that.
I'd have to. I don't know if I.
No, he can just use my mic.
Yeah.
Tim Bauer says you got an album name. Just need the album made. Yeah. Well, with AI. Here, let me invite President Trump.
Well, this was the thing is like it happened a couple about a year ago, where it was like the record title I thought was what was it? Us versus me, or me versus us.
Yeah.
Right, and so that idea, and now my thing is collective individualism is like, how are we gonna run a planet, a society, if everything's all about collective individualism, which is like everybody's operating, with their individualistic goals and ideas, and they want everything, sort of the world, to be individualized and sort of operate in the way they want, but they also, we need to work collectively, right? And it's like, how does that even work? How does collective individualism work? Which we've talked about before, and I don't know. I don't think it works, or at least this structure doesn't work.
I've been watching it happen in the faculty. Let's see here. We got some more. April says, I hope those cheap eggs are worth it. Carol Kaminsky says, oh. I'm sorry, we have a special guest here. You wouldn't believe it, but we have former and future President Trump here.
Do you want to say something?
You want to say something?
What do you want?
Let me interview you. So President Trump.
You see, the Mexicans, they actually. That's what I want to talk about here. So
Wait, I want to ask you a question. Put your face down here. Good. We got President Trump right here. How do you feel about your performance, the winning? Did you win?
Well, I won a lot more than last time, but I did win a lot last time. I did not. I won a lot more this time. Yeah. That's how I feel.
Did you go to school today, President Trump? Was it good?
Yes, I went to my special little school for special boys. I went to my school, and it was amazing. No, I'm not coming down there. All right. Thank you.
What are you gonna eat for dinner tonight? What do you plan on eating?
McDonald's.
What do you eat? Is it good?
Big Mac.
Do you have any questions for? Yeah, I see people. Yeah. Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait, come on over here. We got some. Are there any questions for President Trump here? So, let's see. As former Bush chief speechwriter Michael Gerson put it, compassionate conservative is the theory that the government should encourage the effective provision of social services without providing the service itself. This is the star of the Grand Bargain video, and he has nailed the voice. I'm trying to think if there's anything else we can ask him. Wait! I got a question for you. Wait, come on back. But you gotta be in the mic here, okay? Yeah. So what do you think? How do you think Kamala Harris fought? Was it good?
No.
Should she fight a good fight though?
She was trash. She lost like a dog.
All right, Trump, go back. Are you playing a game right now? What are you doing up there?
Leave him alone. Leave,
All right,
leave,
President
leave
Trump
our
alone.
president alone.
Yeah.
Our future president alone.
Okay.
So yeah, I got another 4 years of that. Although he's going to be going to college in 2
we
years,
can't let
right?
him go to college.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we won't be getting too much Trump in the house. But maybe we can look forward. That was one of the neighbors when I went to vote and stopped and talked to him, and he started talking about the 25th Amendment. He didn't even talk about Trump dying. He talked about J.D. Vance, them 25th Amendmenting him, and I just got really scared. I was just like, oh yeah.
Oh, there's an Iranian plot to kill him, right? Did you hear
Sure,
that
but-
on the? No, I mean they're talking
Yeah.
about it on NPR now today. Jesus Christ. Okay. Well, you want to move on? Because I don't. Let's talk more. So I was worried about the Pod Save America guys. I thought maybe they had died. Like I can't wait to listen to their first post podcast. I haven't listened to it yet because I'm too afraid to listen to it. But those guys, anyway, those guys are like, they had a podcast called Polar Coaster, which I didn't pay for, because they're so, they're so into this. They were like speechwriters and for Obama and stuff like that. And that's one of my favorite podcasts. Not a sponsor, but I haven't listened to that yet. It's too hard to it's hard to it's kind of nice that our son has the great President Trump voice, because it's like I hate myself for hating him, and so like I can hear that, and I know I love our kid. So that's like it.
So
makes
you're
it a little
learning
bit
to
easier,
accept
learning
this,
to
and
accept
you're just gonna,
the fucking of America. Yeah. Go on. Was it compassionate conservatism or the George W. Bush plan that Rick was thinking of? Compassionate conservatism. That was the older Bush.
No. Oh, yeah. That was
Yeah.
no. I'm talking about
Hi, Mom.
the Paul Wolfowitz thing.
I wonder if my mom is actually listening.
Let me look it up.
Yeah.
And what's his name? The other guy.
Paul
look it up.
Wolfowitz. Yeah, look it up.
Early life, education, arms control, blah blah blah.
So what do
State
you?
Department policy planning.
Can't you ask ChatGPT? Oh, Rick, this is going to trigger Rick. He's gonna go off the deep end, looking at all this stuff. So, and you're like, at some point, I think you woke me up or something. I may have been asleep during the day, but you're like, we have to get rid of that car. And then I was like, well, what did he do now? What could he possibly have done worse now? Fucking Tesla, right? I mean Elon.
Project for the New American Century. That's what I was thinking.
Oh, that's a great name for a record.
Right, isn't that what it was? I think that's
That's
what
a
it
good
was.
name for like a notebook. Like a blank notebook. Yeah, election 2024, the fucking of America. When did you know it was over?
When did I know it was over?
Yeah, because I woke up that morning and I was like, it's not going to happen.
Just when Lisa Desjardins was talking about Pennsylvania.
Oh yeah,
It was Pennsylvania again.
Yeah,
it's just all the Pennsylvania
well,
talk.
that fell before the other two, right?
Yeah. But it was just kind of like,
she's like, well, she's not doing so good in this one area of Pennsylvania, fuckington, Pennsylvania,
and Georgia too. Where it was like,
Georgia
the
fell
big
first.
the big lopsided counties, and it was like not lopsided enough. It was just like, okay, I don't think it's going to happen. I think I got fooled. I again got fooled into thinking that things were going to go, that we're going to be closer.
I didn't. Yeah. I mean, I woke up that morning in a woman's body, and what I thought to myself was, we're not going to have a woman president. That's like, I already knew because I woke up in a woman's body. Let's see. April Smith says, many of us are looking to rip up ties to family and friends to hide out in blue states. So did you hear, like, I forwarded without watching this, but my beloved governor here, who I know you're like, oh, he's rich. So he's the enemy. But J.B. Pritzker, like he's calling himself the happy warrior now. You see that?
Yeah.
I love that. He's
So yeah,
cute.
that's setting up for 2028 already.
The happy warrior. He's up on the podium. Yeah, because it's not going to be another woman. We're not running another woman. Women can't. They can't. They shouldn't even have the vote, and probably they won't by the end of this 4 years. The JB Pritzker is calling himself the happy warrior, and he's like, if anybody's going to come, he goes, I'm going to protect my people, and then he says, if Trump's people are coming for my people, they're going to have to go through me. That's what he said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
We'll see
no,
if
he's-
the
he's got
National
till
Guard shows up in
26.
Chicago to fix things,
Oh my God.
or the military. I
So
mean, I
do
know
we-
the National Guard's the military, but
Yeah.
actual.
Back to the car. You said, oh, we got to get rid of the car. The car is paid off, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So and the car warms up. Like I can warm up the car from my phone. I love the car. I don't want to get rid of it.
All right.
Fucking Elon. Why?
Well, he's
and I
not
was like,
getting any money. Yeah.
he's not getting any more money from it,
Yeah.
right? And but then I was like, oh, what did he do now? And it's like, oh, he's just an asshole. And then like there was another story about him being an asshole. And then today there's like breaking news, New York Times, fucking Donald Trump put Elon Musk on a call with somebody. I can't even remember what it was. Like it's breaking news that Elon Musk was on a phone call with Donald Trump and some other world leader. I'm sorry, I didn't look at it, but I was like, oh man, like when do we have to get rid of the car? Like,
I think it's too late. I think we should have gotten rid of it over the summer.
really, and I smashed the car into the garage and like ripped off part of the bumper, and I kind of like it that way. I kind of
Yeah.
like just driving it around like
It's
that.
like our country.
Yeah. Anyway, April, if you're not living in not America, sorry, if you're not living in the United States, if you're not living in Illinois, feel free to come here because we have the happy warrior taking care of us. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I mean, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Is the war over already? The war in Gaza?
No, I mean it won't be. I mean that's
He's going to end that before day one, though, right? And the prices are going to go down before, right? April says, sorry for the doom and gloom, but many of us are hurting. We're scared. Yeah. I finally cried like about an hour ago. Like I've been running around going, we're going to be strong. We're going to, I'm going to be entertained by this. I know women are going to die, but, those women probably didn't vote for Kamala Harris, and women are going to die anyway because it's already fucking Roe versus Wade is repealed, man. It's repealed. That actually happened. Like we are like frogs in a boiling pot of water, aren't we?
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, no, things yeah, it's
God.
it's worrisome.
So I was on the second floor of the Center for Visual Arts, just talking to people about like people who are scared. I mean, our law is going to change. Like things are going to change, right? Are things going to change? What can happen? What can happen to our friends? What's actually going to happen to our friends? I mean, I understand that half the country is going to be deported or whatever, right? Right. I understand that those people that we're going to be watching daily families being, broken up on the news daily, just like we watched that last time 4 years ago or 8 years ago, right? We're going to be watching that, and that's going to be heartbreaking. What's going to happen to kids who are like looking to like, they're going to repeal, like, are they going to make it impossible for people to like get medical interventions for their bodies, like I don't know what to call it.
Well, there's some money, additional funding going into the ACA, right? That they're probably going to just let expire, right? So it's kind of
for like gender affirming care. Right?
Yeah, I'm
Is
not
that
even
what that's
talking about it.
called?
I'm just
Yeah.
talking about general healthcare, right? So, and then probably trying to get rid of, again, do another run through with Obamacare and try to eliminate ACA, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, there's that kind of stuff. Social Security tax, getting rid of the tax on Social Security. If that's going to happen, that's basically going to accelerate the sort of crisis point for Social Security. It'd be like, what was it? It's like 2030 as opposed to 2035, whatever. I think 2035, which was when I was planning our time. But we have our pension replaces Social Security, so we're not going to get dinged by that, but everybody else would. And then whether or not they start borrowing to pay for Social Security, and then that increasing debt astronomically. And at some point, the economy of the nation, you can only do so much borrowing before everything falls apart. And so,
Well, then we're going to have a war. We're going to have a war, right?
Well, a war is not profitable for, I don't think an intentional war, and that's not what, this is all, at least Trump is all about, not participating in war, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Now,
well,
what
would
that
we
means
attack
is
somebody?
like letting Ukraine, fall and letting,
Yeah.
Still funding.
You're calling him a peacemonger?
Israel. No, I mean, but he's a lot of. I don't think that kind of. I don't think that's what. I don't think these people are about starting a war in order to. Yeah, I mean that again is the whatever was planned for the new American century. That was what that was about. It was like increasing America's sort of involvement in world.
So he doesn't. Yeah, that's right. Trump doesn't do that. He's not going to waste his money on somebody else.
Isolationist.
Yeah.
Now, what is that good or bad? I mean, I think it's I guess, but.
Well,
I don't.
It's just
the war thing. I don't think
that's not what's going to save him.
Is there going to be a war? Maybe, but it's not going to be. I don't think they would start a war in order to solve a problem.
Right. All right.
I think a war would be the result of a problem.
Yeah.
Larry, of doing something effed up.
Larry's saying these dumb fucks that voted for Trump that think they are going to benefit from it are going to get a rude awakening. And so this is where I always go back to, you telling me that you heard like people on their deathbeds with COVID, just yelling that you gave this to me and stuff. So the people who are not going to benefit from Trump, they're too far gone. They're like, it's very rare, once in a while, like NPR will trot somebody out, like a year from now, they'll trot somebody out going, I voted for Trump, but I'm sad now. But I think most of the people are like, well, he just couldn't make it happen because that Biden really messed up the world.
Yeah, and
Kamala screwed everything up.
I think that's too complex. That's attributing like some sort of complex thought and analysis about
they won't even be
the
thinking
state of the world.
Right, they won't be thinking about politics anymore. They'll just be mad that they're addicted to opioids again or something.
And if Trump, sends us into a ditch and then we still have a free election in 2028, it'll flip again.
Yeah.
It'll go back.
It'll definitely flip.
It's just going to be the ping pong game, right?
Yeah.
And so, and it's even, ping ponging 2 years. So 2 years from now, it's entirely possible that again, there'll be a blue wave, right?
Oh, right.
And so we'll have 2 years of massive, crazy damage, and then there'll be a blue wave, and it'll go back the other way, and so the ping pong might happen even faster, And
just
so
like the climate, like how climate changes, right? The oscillations will get wider and wider. Yeah. Kevin Dunham says, so many people voted against their best interests. It's going to be both sad and fascinating what their reaction is. you shit your bed now, I lie in it, I guess, and yeah, like what Rick is saying is that I don't think people are going to attribute any sadness in the next 4 years to the current presidency.
No, they might. Yeah, no, they will.
You think they might?
They will, but
Like,
they're not
I
going to.
shouldn't
You're
have
talking
voted.
about, I shouldn't have voted for him, or this guy. If something happens in the moment, yeah. But like also these delayed, so a lot of this stuff is delayed. So you get the impact of a lot of these shitty policy things are not going to be immediate, right? So it's you tank the economy, or you blow up the federal government, and it's going to take 2 or 3 years before you start seeing that impact, right?
I think people
by that
don't
time,
even.
he's
Yeah,
gone.
yeah, and like there were a bunch of stories. The last week or two, there were a bunch of people are hitting us with the stories of the women who are dying because they can't get a DNC. It's not an abortion; it's a DNC. You're like you've got an ectopic pregnancy or something like that. Part of healthcare, part of female healthcare, or women's. I don't know what to call it. I'm sorry, but part of it is getting a DNC. And if doctors are too afraid to do it, or it's illegal to do it unless the woman is dying, then women die. And so there are like a bunch of stories about women dying, and those were being trotted out on the news for the last week.
So you're hearing about that
Yeah.
because you're listening to NPR.
Right.
You listen
Right.
and you consume a lot of news, and you
I'm a
care
high
about
propensity
cause.
voter.
Yeah. And
They're not going to hear
most
about
people,
it.
yeah. And then on top of it, even if you hear about it, it's like, oh yeah, but you gotta, the thing is that we're saving lives. Also, it's kind of like,
That's true.
I know you
Yeah.
it's
We're
tragic.
saving the unborn.
Yeah.
Maybe God didn't want you to have that.
Yeah.
You didn't.
So
God
we've
didn't want you
saved
to
hundreds of thousands of lives,
Yeah.
and 2 or 3 women die.
That's
It's like,
right.
That's math.
Yeah.
Right. In
Yeah.
there, I mean, I would think that would be the calculus there.
You're right.
Yeah.
So it's.
I'm
think
sorry.
it's-
I'm
it's-
sorry to
yeah.
be, but it's
Yeah.
like attributing all of this sort of
Yeah.
like it's applying your sort of way you engage with the world and process and make decisions and think about what happened. You think longer term, right? You think about, oh, you know what? If I buy this Mercedes on my credit card, or I get a lease, and it's like, oh, but I don't make enough money, or I lose my job and I can't pay for this anymore, and I lose my Mercedes, right? It's like, instead of thinking, oh, well, wait a minute, I can't afford this, I can't,
Buy a Mercedes, buy a Tesla.
right? Yeah,
instead.
you do all this analysis, right? You think about the cause and effect, or it's like, oh, if we make this decision as a society or as our governments, it's going to have this long-term impact, and this is going to have an effect on people. It's right. That kind of long-term thinking is not the majority sort of
And I'm glad.
attitude.
Yeah, it's good. I do need you to keep reminding me that, and I feel like it's useful. April Smith says many of us trans folks are trying to update our documents because allowing that will go away after January 20th, 2025. Yeah.
Oh yeah, like, yeah, official documentation, forms, anything. Yeah. So how that's going to change, right? Yeah, we just got to talk about like accessibility guidelines for, and this is just general, right? There are all sorts of federal, sort of guidelines on accessibility of websites and accessibility of physical spaces, right? And so that all that kind of stuff, right? And so forms and things like that. And so then if you have a federal kind of mandate that you can't, there are only two
sex
slots.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, because I see a lot of. Yeah. I've actually noticed, like, filling out forms, like in the past year or two, like I've noticed, like, oh, it's male or female.
Or and then you can say don't want to say, or you can say.
But I've noticed when they're just
yeah.
male or female. I've noticed that.
Yeah.
I've been like,
oh, it's,
wow,
like,
how old is this?
Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, that'll go away. right? And then, or it won't, and that data.
And
Yeah, now
that
what if
data
that
will
data's
track
being
you.
used?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'll track you.
I don't
and
know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Well, that's a
it's-
different thing, though. Yeah, it's almost like, well, again, I don't know. Yeah, it's the idea of the police state, but it's more the idea of the overlords, our friends, our benevolent friends at Google and Amazon, and all the data they're collecting, and what they do with that data, and whether or not they give that to the government.
or whether or not the government takes it. Yeah, So that's one thing. Schneeberger, sorry, Christopher Lee Schneeberger is waving at us as he passes Bloomington on I-74.
I know, he's playing a
going
show
to play in Peoria. If
Yeah.
it plays in Peoria, Chris, good luck. Have fun, Moon. That's why I was like smiling. And April Smith is doing their passport right now. God. All right. So that is one thing. Do you remember like back, in 1999, our friends were calling us, like our rock friends were calling us and going, what's going to happen to, on New Year's Eve? What's going to happen on New Year's Day 2000? Y2K. Is that
Y2K,
something
yeah.
we should be worried about? And we'd be like, no, it's going to be okay. Don't worry about it. Go out and party. It'll be fine. Now we're telling you that your information is going to be tracked.
So here's the thing about Y2K, though, is that there was a problem, and a lot of work was done to fix, the problem,
Yeah.
right? And a lot of time and money was invested in preparing for that switchover, right? So there was a problem. Now, the people talking about, the world's going to end, planes are going to fall out of the skies, right, and everything like that, right? That was fear-mongering, or it was, worst case scenario kind of stuff. But the reality was there was there was
a problem.
there was a crisis,
yes,
and
yeah.
we worked to solve it, right? And that's why there wasn't a big problem in that switchover, right? So the question is like, okay, so we've got this plan, Project 2025, right? And then the question is okay, so you look at that plan, is like, how much of it is feasible, how much of it is going to happen? And it's like, yeah, just when you look at it, it's like, oh yeah, it's just explaining how to do everything, right? It is really kind of like a user manual on how to push everything, all of this kind of crazy reconfiguring of the federal government. And yeah, it could be done in 2 years. I guess.
And also like and let's assume that Trump is going to get shot. Okay, let's just assume
You keep
that he's
it's like, he's going to die.
No. When I
also
hear
the-
that Iran is going to shoot him,
yeah.
which I don't understand why
It's
they
not-
would do
I mean,
that. But
again, and that was like,
you don't think he's going to get shot at? Well, maybe they'll just protect him all the time, right? Is he going to be protected? Like he's anyway. Let's just assume he's going to die from a hamburger overdose. Okay. Let's assume he's going to die.
Okay.
So let's.
what
say
do you
it's
get? Yeah. So where do you
President
go from-
Vance.
Yeah.
So it's President fucking Satan, right?
Yeah. Then
Right.
we're
And
effed.
who gets to be the vice president then under Vance?
that would be a
Elon? He can, right? Wait a minute, hold on. See, because whoever gets to be vice president under President Vance, which is going to happen in the next 4 years, that's who's going to kill Trump. You heard it here. Let me see what's going on here.
I think it kind of doesn't matter. I mean, the scary thing about Vance is that because he's not, he hasn't lost his marbles, and and is in the pocket of Peter Thiel, even more so than Trump, is more dangerous, right? The kind of type of leader in quotes that Trump is, it's entirely possible that it'll be so scrambled, right, and manic and crazy and chasing squirrels, that a lot of this stuff won't get done. Or he'll also just get a wild hair and do something good. Like decide, you know what, we should do this. I'm trying to think of something positive, right? That but
You're saying Trump might?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's not a
total,
Republican.
Well, no, but he's just total loose
Yeah.
cannon crazy,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so, but that said, if you've got both the Senate and the House, and then full of the Project 2025 basic crazies, they're just going to do their stuff and not let his basically what I'm saying is like it's if Trump dies or gets 25th Amendmented, it's going to get worse. It's not going to get there's not going to be any improvement. It's going to be even worse.
April Smith says they won't allow one to change their gender marker, or those who already will have that change revoked. It may get that bad. Yeah. And Larry is asking, what's with the laugh emoji, Spencer Dace? Who's Spencer Dace? Is that one of those high school friends?
Grade school.
Okay, all right. So that's what is with the laugh emoji, Larry, and just sit with it. I don't know who Spencer Dace is, but they're laughing about some, like they're not as liberal as the rest of us.
That's right.
So then you have a token.
Spencer's in Texas.
Okay, you got another token Republican friend. Good. April, let's see, we got that, and then we've got Josh says I think he has Alzheimer's or something. Clearly has dementia. Might be the president or the future president he's talking about. Might be something else. So I don't know. I mean, how are you living with this? What are you doing?
What am I doing?
How did you do when you woke up? I woke you up, I think, and told you that it's over. I woke you up in that morning. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you went to bed knowing it was over.
I kind of felt like it was. And then I'm just happy. I mean, at least in our town, in our state, things are a little more compatible with my inline.
McLean County board is now 12 Democrats and 8 Republicans or something like that. Or so it's like it turned Democratic.
Reps. Yeah. So I do feel like, so that's the positive, I guess, I'm looking at. And then, just thinking about what I've been thinking about, which is like, what will happen to Illinois? And that's, like you said, J.B. Pritzker said, we're not going to let, the feds come in and push us around. So that's what I've been talking about. It's like moving to states, states' rights.
Move to the good
I'm
states.
all for states' rights now. It's like, okay,
yeah.
my state, and let's keep that intact.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the question. I think it's going to flip though. It's like
Illinois.
Yeah. No, I think it's like, I'm all for states' rights, and the state of Illinois, maintaining its sort of current state, and then not allowing the federal government to interfere with that, right? So if we allow, and so like a federal abortion ban or something like that, right? That would be a federal.
Is that going to happen?
And
that's
what
I
the
want
question,
to know.
right? And so how would we fight that?
Yeah.
And that's states' rights, right? The state. The whole idea was that we're going to throw it to the states, and that is what Trump said. It's like, oh no, it's the states, but he also said, we're gonna do a ban, and that's part of Project 2025. So we'll see.
So and can we argue like, hey, you're not carrying out what you said you'd carry out in Project 2025? We could argue about that. Stephen William here says Teal is gay. Won't they liquefy him or something?
What?
I
mean, again, this is again applying some sort of logic, and it's like, well, no, what?
Money is the only logic.
Peter Thiel will be fine.
Right.
Roy Cohen, the mentor of, like, what does it say on the AIDS quilt, or what is it about Roy Cohen? It was like they said I think it's like traitor and victim or something. It's like they're It's like, yeah,
We got
a billionaire is not going to get
Yeah, nothing will happen to the
trussed
billionaire.
up
He
and-
won't.
yeah.
He won't get liquefied. Sarah Boyer says Trump will punish Illinois.
Yeah. So that's the question: is like how will he punish Illinois, or how will he try to punish Illinois? And that's where, when you start talking about war, or you start talking about conflict, you start talking about sending in troops into Chicago to, and declaring martial law. That's
Oh my
that's
God!
crazy
What if
shit.
somebody? What if
right?
somebody tries to hurt Pritzker?
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that's that's.
hope
I mean,
not. Okay.
oh, no, of course. I mean
Josh-
that's the problem with with being a politician these days, and that's why there's problems with people who are just on like city councils.
Oh my
or,
God.
school boards.
School
and
boards.
it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Death threats.
Yeah,
Death threats
it's
to
like-
to K through 12 librarians.
Yeah, it's
Death
like
threats to librarians.
Crazy stuff. It's kind of like why. Yeah. So of course.
Josh Vaughn saying Newsom is saying similar things here in California.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so.
And we're really sorry about the states that aren't allowed to listen to this podcast. But
So again, that's not. I don't.
I still don't get the states' rights thing. Like I wanna know. Like I know there's certain counties that you can't drive through in Texas if you're pregnant because it's assumed that you're gonna get an abortion, so you cannot go through that county. I know that this is true. It's either Texas or Louisiana or something like that. I want to know if there's going to be more of that. I want to know if they're going to actually, like, the minute that this is what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for women in some state to have their pregnancies tracked. That's what I'm waiting for. And at that time, that's the only time I'll say I told you so. That's the only time I'll say I told you so. Because I don't want this. This is ugly. This is ugly, horrible stuff. I don't want to. I didn't wake up and set my profile picture on Facebook to black. I didn't do it. I'm assuming you do that because you're mourning for the country, right? I mean, I didn't get the memo, so I didn't do it. But I don't know.
That's what I feel like. That's what people did in 2016. I feel like that was something that happened was Facebook around in 2004?
No. 2005 it was. 2006.
Okay.
I mean, some people had it probably in 2004. I think it started in 2006.
Anyway, yeah. I don't know.
All
I mean,
right.
what am I doing? I'm. There's not much. I mean, I'm thinking about the way my mom's attitude has been, which is just kind of like there's not a lot. It's just kind of like you just kind of have to wait and see, or just kind of acknowledge that it's happening, but also, I don't know. I guess I'm not processing it, or I'm trying. I am thinking about potential things that could go wrong, right? And I guess the reality is that in 2016. There was a lot of this talk, and a lot of bad shit happened, but it was different bad shit, right? And so my expectation is that all this stuff that we're expecting to happen may happen. Some of it may happen, but then there's going to be other stuff that's going to just come out of nowhere, and the way he's going to deal with whatever crisis crops up is going to be messed up, and it's going to be it's not something I can predict, right?
Yeah, just even like what's going to happen with the RFK. Like, we're not going to have to get vaccines anymore, but are they going to stop funding for medical research? I mean, like,
well, stop funding medical research. So eliminating, federal support, right, for anything, right? So the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which is, of course, again, not 100% funded by the federal government, right? But and then research, science, right? So again, the classic thing about like what fracking, and so industry did not research and develop fracking, right? Because it was too expensive. And so that was a federally funded research project, and then basically got fracking to the point where it was a feasible technology, and then gave it to the industry, right? And so that's an example of federal funding, right? Or the weather service, right? And then so that kind of stuff. Yeah. Yes. If if it's any kind of federal funding of anything, right? That's gonna be at least reduced, or that's part of the goal of this, is to eliminate federal funding of socialism, right? Yeah. So if your question is there going to be less money for science? Is there going to be less money for college? And is there going to be less money for healthcare, right? The answer is yes. Yes. Is the post office going to get effed with more? Yes.
April says most people will skate on by, but those on the margins will probably suffer like usual.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there is a tipping point. That's the thing. There is a tipping point. There's only so much you can, and this is what I talk about. It's like starve the beast, right? Is different than finding efficiencies or making. So there's efficiencies, right? And it's like, we're going to find efficiencies. We're going to, root out all of this overspending. We're going to reduce it. And it's like being on a diet. It's like, you can eat less and you can lose weight, but at some point, if you cut yourself down to one meal a day, and then it's like, you're only 1,000 calories a day and you're going to lose weight. And then it's like, okay, now we're going to cut it down to 500 calories a day. You're being more efficient. You're downsizing, right? But at some point that downsizing then turns into starvation, right? You're no longer becoming lean and getting rid of the fat. You're starting to eat into the fat or eat into the muscle, right? And that's what's going to happen. And at some point the body, the system will collapse, right? There is a point. And so that's the question, is like, and so I think we're already at a point where, the middle and the top are fine, but the bottom is being eaten away and destroyed, right? But I think if you continue on this sort of cutting and starvation path, there'll be a systemic collapse, right?
And people will vote for Trump to help us out of it. April writes, just like during Reagan and Bush, the people will on the margins will suffer. That's
the thing, though, is we're at, that all that stuff happened. That is going back to that guy talking about on Ezra Klein, the historian, talking about the different eras and orders and sort of political orders, and how you had the New Deal era. And so even then, and it wasn't a right-left thing by the time you had Eisenhower. Eisenhower was, you still had the 90% tax rate on the highest incomes, and you had the highway system being built. And those are socialist New Deal-like programs, but that was a Republican doing that, right? And so that kind of New Deal era was the order of things, the political order, right? And it wasn't a left and right thing. And then it changed into the kind of neoliberal and the conservative thing that flipped. And then you had Bill Clinton, in the middle of that, right? Saying the era of big government is over, and free market and capitalism and the market and NAFTA and all that kind of stuff. And that was that kind of the new era. And so even though you had somebody who was a Democrat, they were following this, free market capitalist kind of approach, right? And small government. And so we're at the end of that, I think. And now it's like, what's the new thing going to be? And that's the problem, is like, you can't, I guess that's the problem is that once you sort of starve the beast or reduce the beast down to a point where, big government is now small government and it's not doing anything and people are suffering. I feel like we're already there.
Yeah.
Like
it's not
next, like
the next is a monarchy,
I guess.
Right? It's
I don't know. I don't think so, because it's going to be that's an old thing, and it's going to be some weird. Yeah, it's just kind of like how do you what's the change going to be?
I had a rant in the middle of like this week sometime saying that this was all brought this like Trump rose to power because of social media, because of the monetization of clicks, because people are so, you see something horrifying on your feed and you're like, God damn it, and you click on it, and then somebody gets some money, and so it's like the advertising is funding advertising is making you like is putting up stories to inflame you.
The attention economy.
Yeah,
Right.
okay, yeah. I'm trying to. Sorry, it's been a long day.
No, yeah,
And,
yeah.
And so all these stories about Trump and it's in companies' best interest to have these inflammatory stories in front of your eyes, because then you click and then you see this horrible thing that's going on with Trump, and then there's that pair of shoes that you wanted, and then like, oh, I'm not going to buy it yet, and then that's it's all about clicks, because your clicks.
But yeah, and that's the mechanism of it. But I also think culturally, it's part of it is kind of like troll culture or online culture, but it's also that outsider. So Trump to me is he, even though he was president and is a billionaire, whatever, and cozying up to these billionaires, and
he's the working
it's-
class candidate, right?
I guess,
Yeah, yeah.
but it's like it's speaking, sort of an outsider, kind of attacking the elite, right? The intellectual.
And the Democrats are now the party of the elite.
Yep. And so it's kind of.
I heard that too on the radio.
Yeah,
earlier
and it's
today.
true,
Yeah,
right?
It is true. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's.
And sorry.
No.
If you're wondering, like the other thing, like I think I listened to some podcast about, like, I don't know the terminology, but like why are the Christians following Trump? Why do they listen to somebody who's obviously such a like horrible example of a Christian? And it's because there's something written in the Bible or something that says that that the God's word will come to you through like the horn of an ass or something, or it's like it won't look like God himself talking to you. It'll look like something crappy, and that's exactly, it's right there. That's what it is. Oh my God. As written.
Yeah, and again, doing these complex sort of logical calculations or rational calculations. Yeah. It's like that's not what people do. People are not.
They have to a little bit of this, because otherwise, then why would you listen? If you're a good Christian, why would you listen to this man who wants to fuck his daughter? Sorry. All right. I'm I'm heartened. Okay, so let's see. April Smith says NBC should run an apology every hour on the hour for elevating Trump via The Apprentice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Sure. Well,
and then my question is what is Maya Rudolph going to play on the piano and sing as Kamala Harris?
I'm not going to watch it. I remember that.
The cold open.
I remember that.
They're gonna,
like,
what is that going to be?
Maybe Trump himself will appear on Saturday Night Live. That's what I was thinking too. Like, as an entertainer or as like an artist, I was like, here she was all the artists, all the musicians, all love her and stuff like that, and people are like, yeah, Taylor Swift endorsed her, and you know what? This just shows how much belief or like value that people place in musicians. They're like, I don't care what they say, I'm going to go with this other guy. Like, even though like I love Taylor Swift and I love Maya Rudolph and I love all these other people, and I love all these liberal elite people, and I'm glad that they're for Kamala Harris. I'm going to vote for Trump. I'm going to go, like me and Kid Rock are going to go vote for Trump. Like, it's you. If you think that people value artists' opinions, they don't.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think there's a little bit of that. I mean, we value the opinions of people that we see as leaders in our society and our culture, but there's a limit, and also there's enough in the buffet where it's like, oh yeah, Taylor Swift, but then yeah, like you said, Kid Rock. It's like kind of like, oh, not that they're equivalent in any way, but it's kind of like, oh yeah, you can get a person in the arts who aligns more with your ideals,
I guess.
right?
Yeah. I'm just thinking that didn't even get people to vote. Maybe they were so.
It might have.
Yeah.
I mean, but the thing is that's not enough.
Yeah, not enough.
That's the thing. That was the thing about going to that. That rally. You remember the Green Party rally? Was that in 2000 or 1996? I don't even remember what it was. And being in that stadium,
Huge stadium, yeah.
with 20,000 people, and it felt like, oh, this is huge. This is a huge movement, and everything. It's going to be a massive change and everything like that. And then you realize 20,000 people is nothing, right?
Yeah.
It looks and it feels amazing, and it's like, but yeah. And so even if all 5 million. 5 million, that is a lot, right? Taylor Swift fans, lived
in Michigan and voted for her.
Yeah, that would make a difference, right? Yeah, if they all lived in Michigan and voted, but it's like that's not. Yeah, you spread that around, and it's not enough to change an election. I don't think.
I was going to say the one thing that's given me solace is just like I really like to go sit with my people on Sunday mornings. I'm really enjoying that. It's really nice to know that there are people who kind of believe the same thing as you and are going to sit in a room quietly with you and do meditation for, a certain amount of time. It's really nice to really, know that people. I've been finding that really, really nice. So, I mean, I guess the answer is to make sure that you're around friends, and limit your time around poisonous people, I guess, or something like that.
And I don't, again, poisonous people. That's
toxic people. That's the word.
Toxic people. But yeah, whatever. It's still the same thing. I'm attributing the toxicity of Trump to the people that support him. I mean, a certain amount of people, yes. But I also do believe that it's, again, you're attributing a much deeper sort of motivation and it's like, I don't know if that's actually true. I don't think you could just, paint 50% of our country as, being racist misogynists.
Okay, yeah. Now I'm actually hearing what you're saying. What you're saying is that just because somebody's got a Trump sticker or just because somebody voted for Trump, like one of your family members, doesn't mean that they're a racist, misogynist moron. They could have just voted for, or just didn't vote for Kamala because bread was expensive, or they just didn't. It's not that deep of a thought. It's not that deep of a thought. They're not fascists.
But I mean, and not to let people off the hook, but I guess I'm
I got a question
being
for
too
you.
positive.
No, I like your positivity too.
Because
You're
some
right.
of those people voted for like it's like you hear people say, oh, I voted for Obama and then I voted for Trump, and and it's like, okay, so what does that mean? That means that
I like the outsider.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not that as deep thinking.
Or I'm
as you
against
are.
what's happening now, the current.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
status quo.
I don't like what's happening now because I listen to Fox,
or not,
or not. Yeah, I just
don't listen to anything.
Yeah, I don't like what's happening now. Stephen Williams says I don't get the whole quote elites thing. When Trump's team has so much of the venture capital, private equity, and Silicon Valley bros, but this is a nation that trusts a slumlord and a VC guy to make life better for the unwashed masses. So nothing makes sense. Can you make sense of that?
Yeah, I can totally make sense of it because it's again that idea of, so it's what is it, founder mode? It's startup, and again, like I said, the bro state. It's that idea that again, these are rich, elite, powerful people, rich, elite people, but they're viewed as independent self-starters. It's not quite the pull yourself up by your bootstraps kind of person, and rags to riches, self-made millionaire, billionaire.
Yeah, we got.
But it's close, and it's similar to that. And so that's why, they're an elite. They're billionaires, but they're, sort of acting and portraying themselves or viewed as these outsiders against the pointy head nerds that say, oh, if you do this, it'll tank the economy, or oh, you need to be considerate of people and their identities, and even if they don't align with what you believe,
Yeah. So and Josh Vaughn is saying to them, elites means anyone with a college degree who thinks they're smarter than me, and the people who go to me and the people who go to my church. And Josh Vaughn also says anyone who reads the New York Times is an elite.
Totally.
Yeah. That's what elite is now. It's not. It's somebody who thinks they're smarter than you. Somebody who's telling me what to do. Somebody who's telling me to be kind to other people. Or, somebody. Yeah. That's what elite is now. It's different. It's changed, right?
Has it? I don't know if it's changed.
Well, I mean, it's changed. Like back in the day when you learned the word elite, that was.
Well, what's changed is that elite is not mapping as easily onto race. Yeah, and gender. So those it's no longer just white men.
Yeah.
Right?
So is there a message to the Democratic Party? Actually, yeah. Can you? I mean, I'm sorry to continue this, but you were talking to the marketing professor today. What was he saying? Can you give us a rundown? Because that's information that nobody has except you and the marketing professor.
It was just how to communicate these ideas, right? Like how Kamala Harris could have done a better job.
How she could have marketed herself better?
Yeah, basically, right? Because that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
That's what a campaign is.
Yeah.
And then it's like, saying like, oh, like go through these 5 points and everything like that. And I just said, well, already right there, it's like that can't be encapsulated and can't go through the culture we have now and the
Rick is saying 5 is too many.
It's like try to even just get 1 point across and say, oh, this is, and even that all these arguments you're saying is like, why would you do this if it's going to hurt you, and talking about this the kind of formula or the mechanism and saying this is what's going to happen if you do this, right? And if you allow this is against your interest. If this person does this thing, it's already explaining something, mansplaining, elite-splaining, whatever it is, and it's like you can't, it's not, that's, it's just, you can't, I don't think, unless it can be encapsulated into a meme or can be, Joe Rogan can, process it. And I mean, that's the thing, is like, he's got 3 hours where he spews this stuff, right? And it's like, oh, if it can be encapsulated in something culturally that gets spit out, right? As opposed to what's the cultural identity of, someone like Kamala Harris, which is like, oh, she's a crazy socialist liberal, which she wasn't, isn't, and it's like, and so a little bit of it got through. It's like, I own a Glock, right? And things like that, right? So some of that, it's stuff like that. That's the level, right? Where it's like, I have a Glock, it is like, everything's got to be in that sort of rudimentary, superficial way, and it's got to go through the culture, be broadcast virally.
And if it's going to go through the culture and be broadcast virally, you're going to hear it here on Radio Zero.
All right.
Thank you for listening, everybody. And I'm really sorry that this happened. But 4 more years.
It's not your fault, though.
Yeah, I voted, but I'm in Illinois.
That's right.